We work with a lot of colleges, universities, and their registrars' offices, and we've been around the block a bit on scanning student transcripts, student records, and we understand the difficulty in maintaining a hard copy collection of these and why it's important to go digital. So that's what we're going to cover today. So first, one of the challenges of hard copy student transcripts and the requests that come along with those are just a slow and cumbersome manual process. So I'd assume you'd have a couple thousand, maybe tens of thousands of students graduating, and you're going to keep those records for as long as you need to keep them. And if you're not digitizing along the way, you just have these hard copy records, and someone calls in 10 years after they graduate saying, hey, I need my transcript for so-and-so. I'm John Adams and I graduated in 1997 and I need my record for this job application, whatever they're doing. If you have the physical records, now you have to go find the records. There might be in some sort of cabineted area or some storage room where all your records are stored. Maybe they're at some sort of, not off-site, let's say on campus, but some sort of storage building, like a facilities building. You need to get those records, go find them, poke around through them, look for them, get them back to probably your office, scan them or digitize them some way or duplicate them, either mail them out to the requestee, is it requestor or requestee, one of those, mail it out or scan it, digitize it, email it, then you got to go put it back. That's a pretty manual, pretty tedious process for something that should just take maybe a couple minutes if it was in a digital format. Even if you have a very organized process, just all those steps involved of taking something from hard copy to digital, locating, getting it, scanning it, or copying it, mailing, and then delivering in some way, mailing, emailing, whatever, and then putting it back. It's just kind of an annoying process, especially the larger you get, the larger the collection you have, the more tedious it is. So, not a lot of fun. The second challenge is just a lack of a centralized and accessible systems. So as I pointed out in the first challenge, you might have multiple departments or areas or locations that these files are stored in. So having a non-centralized repository for all this data is part of this challenge. It's hard to find information. Elongates the process to find the data. Also, the process of a student requesting a file could require multiple handoffs within your department. So it might not just be you getting up, walking to a cabinet, getting the file, doing that. It might be someone calls in or submits a form through your website, and the first person to get it, receives it and types in a request or submits a request to someone else. Then they have to go somewhere else and ask somebody to pull a record. They have to give it back to them. Then they bring it back and hand it off to someone else. Thinking of that's a lot of different people potentially touching a single record. Again, that's something that should take a couple minutes is now taking, let's say an hour, and multiple people are involved. They're stopping what they're doing to fulfill this request, handing something off. Maybe that takes 5-10 minutes and they're going back to work. They're losing that productivity. They're just kind of constantly being interrupted to hand off a single document through multiple departments and multiple people. And lastly, even if the record is found, it's processed, it's delivered to the student or the requestor, I still don't know. It's probably not then sent to a final digital repository. It's probably just put back in place. So I don't know the likelihood of someone requesting that same file again, but if they did, then you're going through the whole process. Now, some folks may actually, hey, we're scanning this, let's put it somewhere and keep it. I don't think that's the case most of the time. So you may even have to scan this one, reprocess it again, and digitize it again or deliver it again because you just did the standard process, put it back, and okay, that's it for now. And the last challenge are the security concerns. So with physical records, there's only so much you can do to secure them. Yes, they're going to be in probably an office building that's locked to people or not accessible to folks that can't get in. And then internally, maybe they're in cabinets, maybe locked cabinets, something like that. But there's only so much you can do. You can't just, I guess you could build just a complete castle around these records and have many locked areas, locked doors, different keys, multiple keys have to get in, but you're probably not doing that. So if someone wants to get these records, it's probably not too difficult to do. So there's that security concern. But even outside of someone doing something malicious to steal a record or take data, whatever it is, there are just the natural security concerns of losing the data. So it might be a record's pulled to process it, and then it's not put back properly. It's not put back in the right place. Someone gets distracted and they forget to put it back, and it just gets lost somewhere. Someone loses it. Or there's always the natural disaster side. A lot of natural disasters. There might be, depending on where you are, there might be, fires if you're on the West Coast. If you're down in the Southeast, there might be hurricanes and floods. Up in the Midwest area, tornadoes, things like that. So you gotta be aware of natural disasters, because if you have those hard copies and they're not backed up in some fashion, which would mean duplicate copies, which probably don't have, then if there's a natural disaster, you might just lose all that data and you're out of luck because you didn't plan for something like that happening. They don't call them accidents because they're planned to happen. So that's one of the last challenges as part of the security concerns. So now we're going to flip right into how digitization solves those transcript request challenges. So first is the improved productivity. Instead of doing that, I'm not going to do the whole thing again, but instead of doing that process to go get the physical records and do the final delivery to the person that requests it, digital process is, hey, I get a request, I go into my DMS, my document management system, whatever that system is, probably type in their name, maybe graduation year, date of birth, maybe a student number, something like that. Click, click, click. Oh, there's your file. It's whatever, 20 pages, export it as a PDF. I'm gonna securely email it to you, or I'll print it out and mail it to you, whatever that process is. But your end of it of, I find it, I've identified it, and I can get it to them is drastically reduced from that laborious manual process. So improved productivity is one. Second is you have a dedicated retrieval system. Instead of having disparate methods to find the data, again, maybe you have multiple people doing it, you have multiple locations. It's just a centralized, dedicated system to get this information. So if you get a request, everyone knows, oh, you go to the application here, you find the information, you get to the person that requested. You don't have to think, oh, I need to call Janie over in this, and I need to call John in the facilities. It's just, I get a request, I go here. It's a very simple, dedicated retrieval system and process. And then lastly, of course, we had challenge number 3 is security with those concerns. With digital files, you can improve your security and data protection by, you can have permissions-based access to your system. People need credentials to log in. You can split people into data groups. Maybe only certain people that have access to the system can see these files. Only certain people can see these files. You might have your HR records and personnel files in the same system as the student records, so you can split them up. You can have multi-factor or two-factor authentication, so you need multiple proofs that you are the person logging in. You can have IP lock restrictions. You can even lock access to that system down to specific IP addresses. So maybe you want people to be in the actual office if they want to access the system, or if they're remote, you can lock it down to, let's say, their house. So someone that's trying to break in your system that isn't at one of those locations, they'll say, you're not the right IP, can't get in. And then lastly, you have just the redundancy of the backups. So if you have a hosted system that probably has a backup, like we call it for our system, our digital real application, which we call it colo. It's a co-location site. So we have 2 different sites hosting the same data. So they're rollover sites. So it's redundancy of hosted data. You could have that as part of your backup recovery process, your disaster backup recovery process, your redundancy. Also, you can just make copies and store them in different locations. So if you do have hosted application, there's, let's say it's co-located. So not only do you have 2 copies in a hosted system, you could even make copies and put them like on an encrypted USB drive or like in cold storage. So you have an offline copy just in case something happens to the online, the hosted one. So multiple copies, much easier than having duplicates of, let's say, 500 boxes of paper, or you have 8,000 rolls of microfilm and you want to make duplicates to have backups. That's much more difficult than the digital version. So those security aspects of digitization are absolutely critical to your data. That wraps up how to solve student transcript request challenges by digitizing and going digital. But if you're looking for a company and you're concerned about security, these are sensitive records, you want to know that they're doing the right thing with your data. They're doing the processes right, the actual physical, they have physical processes in place, they have digital processes in place to protect your data. So what you can do is watch this video about BMI's internal security audit, our annual audits, how we do things and how we audit ourselves to make sure we're protecting our and your data. That's going to be linked in the description below. Thank you for watching.